What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction. So excited about this video. If you're new to us
and we're new to you,
make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell
because we're on the road to 200K.
And we cannot get there without you guys, alright? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Let's get it.
Why is dancing so important in Indigenous ceremonies? What happens if you're a bad dancer?
Wouldn't know.
Dancing is about telling our stories and also passing on our history. So it's very important that as a young person you learn those dances coming through as into an adulthood, and once you learn them you know them for life.
There's no such thing as a bad dancer. Indigenous ceremonial dance is about the ceremony. It's not a performance. So you're not trying to look good for anyone.
Right.
You're participating in sacred ceremony. So it's not about being good or bad. There's no such thing.
Yeah, you're doing it to honour the old people, your mob, yourself, your family.
It's not really about being a bad dancer.
You a good dancer?
Yeah. No, I'm not a good dancer.
Is it ever okay to ask someone how Aboriginal they are?
I get this all the time.
I feel like if anybody asks that question, they know what they're asking. It don't make sense to ask somebody. It just don't. It's shady, if you ask me.
Because if I am that, I am that. Ain't no percentage. And we get that in our community as well as being African Americans. People will try to say, oh, y'all are not fully African Americans. The average African American have Native American in them, European in them, all these things in us, right? And I'm like, okay, so if you really think about it, what are you exactly saying? What are you trying to justify and glorify? Are you glorifying our history of the things that they did to our people? And if you're really, really smart about it, saying the average is not correct, because everybody will not have that in their family tree or in their DNA. So stop saying that. These people are Aboriginals. It don't matter the percentage. They Aboriginals.
Short answer means no.
Can I just answer it flatly, straight? No, it's never okay to ask somebody how Aboriginal
It's
they
so
are.
offensive.
It's very offensive to ask that question.
If you look at our history, there's a reason why people aren't 100% Aboriginal, and that's really heartbreaking.
It doesn't matter what colour of skin or anything like that. And that's another stereotype. You have to be black to be like dark, to be Aboriginal. Yeah. And people don't realise that we lose our skin colours in each generation and things like that. So that's probably one of the ones we cop all the time. How black are you?
You don't ask somebody how much Anglo-Saxon they are, or how much Irish, or how much Welsh. It doesn't even come into consideration.
I think there's a lot of people at the university who've asked me that, and yeah, I think they just think it's okay because it's a matter of curiosity.
Absolutely a matter, and I understand that as well. But to answer this question, no.
Shady.
I think it opens up to you having to justify yourself and justify how much you are or how much you feel. It's just kind of taking away from who you really are and your identity. So,
if somebody said to you, I'm of Aboriginal heritage, pretty much it should be expected that you just accept that statement.
It's like the coffee. You know, you have your long blacks, you have your black whites, whatever. It's put as much milk in as you want, but it's still that coffee.
Still that coffee.
How good are you at throwing a boomerang? How good are you?
crap.
Pretty bad.
I won't even try.
I can't throw anything, let alone a boomerang. It's such an art skill.
Such a stereotypical question.
One time I threw it and it came back and hit me in the head.
there
So
you
not
go.
that great. And you've got to think about it. They were used as a hunting tool, basically to cause an injury to a lower limb of an animal. So we actually don't have that much of a purpose for them anymore. What do you think about the commercialization of boomerangs, though? Anyone can buy one and throw it.
Sorry, I can't.
Without even realizing what they have in their hand. Using it as a tool to play with and to sell to receive revenue from.
Wow.
We do frisbees, but I've never had a boomerang and threw it around and expect for it to, they say it loops back around. I've never had one before like that.
Well, I've seen them in like party packs, like for children.
Right, yeah.
When you're throwing a party, they have like the little small ones. I'm interested in hear what they're going to say about that.
Walk into an antique store and see 65,000 identical factory-made boomerangs.
Antique stores.
I think that's incredibly wrong.
What is one stereotype that needs to stop? Well, that's hard. There's more than one, but
Yeah, there's plenty. Petrol sniffing, all black fellas on the dole. Yeah, the list goes on.
we get stereotypes all the time. I hear it every day. We had one just yesterday. You get free stuff from the government. I wish they paid my university degree. I still wouldn't have a headset. And wish they gave me a car like people think we get cars or free handphones. Just goes going on and on.
All Indigenous people are drunks, and that they, live in the bush and they don't know how to live and they can't live in houses.
We sleep in parks. Like, I sleep in the house. Yeah,
I've never lived out bush.
The only time I'm sleeping outside is when I'm going bush, going camping and everything over island, yeah. That's about it.
I think one of the biggest stereotypes, I agree, is that Indigenous people are of a lower rank in society. Indigenous people can be successful businessmen, academics, anything that they want to be. And I think it's very important for people to recognise that and to understand that Indigenous people will never just fit into one box. Like, we make up 3% of the population and we come from all walks of life, and you'll never meet two Indigenous people who are the same and who have the same sort of mixes of cultural and Western life. It's just never going to happen.
What do you do on 26th of January?
Yabin Festival.
Yabin.
The Yabin.
Yaba means to make music with a beat.
Every year I go to that.
You know that everyone's going to be there. It's just a gathering spot.
But I also go to community and have a yarn with the mob at Redfern. They do a protest march. I don't
It's a march. It's a
really
protest
do those
march.
protest marches these days, but it's still good to talk to the elders and what they've gone through and why they're doing the march. And I think it educates people as well that what do they mean. It's like, people think 26 has always been Australia Day. The first Australia Day was in July, you know what I mean? So it's crazy that we can't change that date. And it still brings a lot of sorrow to our people, eh? And I think it's something that's got to be done. Something's going to change, eh?
Obviously, I don't celebrate this date. I think it's incredibly wrong to celebrate on this date.
I will sit at home watching TV.
So is it more?
Yeah.
Is it more of a festival or is it more of a protest?
I'm not.
You know what I'm saying? Because festival for us is just different. It's more of a celebration, having fun, people coming together, eating, having fun. A protest in our eyes is a protest. Like, we're trying to get something done, something accomplished.
Yeah, well, I know that there's annual protests. Like, I know Hawaii have an annual protest.
Peaceful at that.
Yeah, peaceful protest. I'm not sure. I'm not really clear on what this day means.
Comment section.
Yeah.
Talk to us, y'all. Let us know.
It's nothing new, you know.
It's nothing
I mean,
special,
you'll remember what happened, being Aboriginal and everything. You think back on things like that and just like process it through your mind.
People who march, it's awesome. And it's great that they're willing to stand up for what they think should be changed, and they're happy to show their support that way. I don't march because I don't feel like I should be there, but I come to the after thing so that I can support that way and be seen around.
I had quite a few debates with my friends about this year, actually. I don't do anything. I haven't really been to many protests because I don't think that violence or yelling is the way to resolve things. But at the same time, I'm not going to go out and celebrate.
But we should change the date.
100%.
Is it the dreaming or dream time? Do all Aboriginal people...
What happened on the date? The date makes me think that it was something more recent.
Yeah.
Well, not more recent, but recent.
I think, man, when it comes to just change in general, you just gotta get in rooms. You know what I'm saying? Your paperwork speaks volumes. What you go through school for speaks volumes. Everything that you can do and be at certain tables and seats, your voice. Like I said, I agree with her. You know, violence and yelling doesn't really do anything, but your presence still does make emotion. It makes movement.
Yeah.
But also being in rooms make movement as well.
Right.
So.
Right.
believe in the same thing? And what's the deal with the snake? What's the deal with Kinyaha?
Kinyaha.
Our ancestors, we say, exist in the dreaming, but these are our dreamtime stories.
The snake, collectively in history, is the oldest known religious relic. Cultures all around the world have a connection to a creation serpent, which is what the rainbow serpent is for us, slithering through the land, creating the land masses and rivers.
No, not all Indigenous people maintain the same beliefs. There are a lot of Christian Indigenous people, agnostic, Catholic, Buddhist. My family's Catholic, and that just happens when you're living in such a multicultural country.
What's the one thing about Indigenous people or culture that others can't seem to understand? One. I can't pick one.
Could say a lot about this one.
Well, there's a lot that people don't understand. That's why we're here.
I think the most annoying thing for me is the what percentage are you question. If there's anything I could ask people to stop asking, it's that.
Friends of mine always talk to me, and I've grown up very middle class white Australian. So from 10 years old, I went to a school where I was the only Indigenous child, and I went right through high school. And even now, as an older person, a big thing that my friends ask me is like, why don't we know about these Indigenous things, these Aboriginal stories, or why aren't they shared, or why aren't things marked? And it's pretty much, because there's stories in our lives that we don't have to share because they're our own stories, and makes the story a little more watered down once we share it with people, because then people share it on and it changes.
That's a good
connection to
That's
the
a really
land.
good point.
That is
I
a
didn't
good
think about it
point.
like that.
That is a good point. But do you all have Aboriginal history taught accurately in your school systems?
Yeah.
Because that would be important for the general public to know, the general citizens to know.
Right.
Y'all see what goes on. We talk about it all the time on the things that we're currently dealing with in our school systems about our history. And perspectives is important, because when you don't tell your story, you leave room for someone else to tell your story.
Which is a problem. That could be a problem.
Yes, and they will tell it from their perspectives. So, for example, they're trying to change our history as if we benefited from slavery. So that's why we're adamant on no. Let us tell our story.
Yeah, I think I like her point of it. You know what I'm saying? People can take your information and water it down, but that's always going to be the general. Like, you're always going to have that one person who's the opposite side of the coin who's going to not share the right information.
Mm-hmm.
But just speaking out in general is going to always do justice. It's going to always land in the ears or the hands of the people that need to do what they can do with it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We don't own any land, which a lot of people misunderstand. We're with the land, we're one with the land. There's no ownership in our old ways.
Yeah, and with that, you get so attached to it, like I come from footy circles and everyone blows up every now and then because certain people get homesick and want to go home and they don't understand it, but it's incredibly hard to be taken off the land.
As an example from where I'm from, there's a particular type of fish that you can peel its stomach out and splay it open, and it shows the root system that fish's eggs were actually laid on, which then has implanted into that animal's lining of its gut. That is the type of connection and strength that our people have for the natural environment, and that's what I feel like mining companies and these big entities that want to pillage the land for their own benefit aren't really understanding. And Indigenous people around the globe, and particularly in Canada as well, have that understanding that we need to think forward for those next generations. It's not about our needs or our children's needs. We've got to think beyond that.
Because our culture is the oldest living one in the world. People don't understand how long we've been on this earth, how our stories were told in the past, what happened to us as well, our culture. We've got no language back home where I'm from. It's only 2 hours north from here and there's no language. And I know that myself and other people in the community are actually trying to bring that back and trying to bring our language back. If you look at the language map, you probably all seen.
I'm going to rewind him a few seconds. I like that him and the other lady just mentioned that about those fish with the eggs, and I like that he was talking about how the language isn't too much spoken now. But then you have the other lady who said, she think that we shouldn't even be talking about it, because when you tell certain people information, they water it down. And can you guys see the two different perspectives?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So, again, because one may not feel like they should be sharing as much, you have another group of people saying, we got to think about the next generation.
Right.
We got to think about how much languages we once had that are no longer spoken.
Mm-hmm.
See, it plays an important role for them. It does.
And again, we can relate to that.
Yeah.
Of course, regionally, our people have created languages. Here, like Tutnese, obviously the one that everybody know, AAVE. But in our home state, there's also another one, Corivini.
Yeah.
And we don't know those languages. Now we're reteaching ourselves the language. Well, reteaching, but it's the first time we're learning it. Like, our grandparents and our older generations would say it to us, but they would say it to us, but didn't want us to learn what it meant. If that kind of makes sense.
It was
so
like
they didn't pass it down.
It's like they would call you in a way
Yeah.
where you understood what it meant, but that would be
Yeah.
the cap. Nothing more of that. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
like they
saying?
didn't actively sit us down, teach it. So now
Yeah.
we're learning techniques. We're learning query Vinny now. And that's what you need, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We've got no language back home where I'm from. It's only 2 hours north from here and there's no
Wow.
language. And I know that myself and other people in the community are actually trying to bring that back.
There you go.
And trying to bring our language back, eh? Like, if you look at the language map, you've probably all seen that. You'll see that out of that, there's not many that's still active. I'm not sure if you guys speak traditional language up there or anything.
My mother's country is Palm Island, so that was one of the main settlements and everything where they sent everybody as punishment, you know. And yeah, since then, culture has been lost.
I'm so inspired by the strength and resilience of such a people. And that's one thing I would love for all of Australia to be able to see, how incredible and rich this culture is.
How do Indigenous relatives work? Why is everyone a cousin, auntie or uncle?
Because we love each other.
Uh-oh.
You're an auntie to me.
That's right, exactly. And she has been asked many times, is she really your auntie?
Because we don't look alike at all.
Yeah, it's a complex system, but basically we're all family.
With Indigenous culture as well, it's not believed that, you know, your birth mother can give you all the vital tools you need for your entire life. I mean, it's not true. So you have kind of like an array. All your aunties are your mothers. As you have this collective of leaders in your life, you really are equipped for the array of things that you do experience throughout your life.
As soon as she met me, she said to me, can I call you auntie? And I said, of course you can. I feel so respected that the students call me that, and I know that they can come to me and ask me anything, and, you know, it's not just school work related, it's family or whatever.
And like personal life and stuff, and words like that helps people stick together. It does.
You know, everything like that. So it's such a nice thing for me to have that respect from the students.
She definitely earns it.
To me, calling someone my auntie or uncle, they don't even have to be like, you know, Indigenous. I'll still call them auntie or uncle out of respect. When was the last time you encountered casual racism? How do you deal with it?
I get it every day on the bus.
I mean, Sydney's full of it. If you're Indigenous.
And if you don't think it is, you're joking yourself.
Yeah.
We cop it all the time. I'm pretty thick-skinned. I've copped it all my life.
I travel in from the northern beaches and I sit on the bus, and I will be the last person that people will sit next to on the bus. Pretty much both ways. That's an hour trip.
I've had people who've had like a broken leg and are on crutches and they've decided to stand because they didn't want to sit next to me.
And it actually makes you feel like shit. It makes you feel like you are insignificant.
Got asked yesterday how
That's what racism
Aboriginal
is.
I am, I guess. That still hurts a lot when people want to question who you are based on the colour of your skin.
Racism in Townsville, that is like, that's hard being from Townsville and being my age, because Townsville is like juvenile delinquency, all that. So if you get seen walking with your, like, you know, with a group of other black people, and they constantly will keep their eye on you and just watch every move and everything. And that was actually the last time I encountered racism too, when I was on
I really feel like that has to be some level of trauma for people, bro. To always target a black group of people and think something bad is about to happen. What happened?
The caste system.
Why are people so triggered by groups of people and feel like they're in trouble? And they're walking past you, not even looking at you, thinking about you, but they feel like they got to go do something that's going to help the environment real quick.
Baby,
That's crazy
floats
work.
your
That's crazy
boat.
work.
If not sitting next to me on the bus is your way of saying I don't want to be around her, oh, baby, please give me my space. Please.
I see next line coming. I see it coming. Hey, she is not
give
going
me
to
my
hesitate.
space.
She ain't going to hesitate.
I don't care.
Nah, facts.
This is not the 16th, 7th century. You know I'm a book. Let's keep it peaceful.
Man.
So, I don't know. Sydney's been good to me.
Yeah, that's a big one too, you know. People, you know, you're at university, are you really Aboriginal or are you just there for the benefits?
Who is your hero?
Oh, Uncle Max.
Yeah.
Yep. Hands down, Uncle Max. Here he is. Righty. Got his shirt right on there. Love you, Uncle Max.
That's our grandfather and our teacher, our master, and he's taught us pretty much everything.
It's Goodsy for me, Adam Goods. He's so cool.
Martin Nakata is the first ever Torres Strait Islander to get a PhD. He's a good friend of mine, and the leadership he showed, that's why I'm still working in the higher education sector. I could have gone, worked in corporates and things like that.
That's who my hero is, my nan, because she was somebody who, from early on in life, was really passionate and dedicated to education, but because of the laws and policies, she actually was denied the right to go to school. So that meant she ended up missing out on quite a lot of formative years of education and learnt to read off rubbish at the tip, jam jars, sauce bottles, all that kind of stuff. She sort of had an understanding that she had a role to play in terms of fighting for the rights of our people in the classroom, because we should be entitled to have an education. I feel like with her in my strides, I can actually do anything for my people.
What can we do to try and make up for the past?
I think education is the most important thing. From everything from Australia Day to casual conversations that you have with people, I think knowing more means that you'll be able to approach things better.
The main thing is just to, before you try and act, just shut up and listen. Get educated.
Yeah.
The only way we can really move forward in all of this, in closing the gap, reconciliation, whatever, white Australia needs to understand.
Well, first of all, you can stop saying it's in the past, get over it. I wasn't here, it wasn't my fault. You know, you can't exonerate yourself from a history when that history still affects the present day.
It was not that long ago, 30, 40 years ago, that we were still classed as plants and animals. And people wonder, like, they're still like, oh, get over it. It's like, well, actually, it's not that easy.
It's quite close in my generations as well. My dad was stolen, so you can't tell me that's ancient history if I don't get to know any of my family or my grandmother or my cousins.
I don't think it is fair to hold people accountable for things that happened so long ago, and it's not constructive. And I think the best thing to do moving forward is to just be compassionate and respectful of one another.
I don't think it's fair to hold present day people accountable for what happened in the past.
At all.
But when present day people are the people who are upholding the systems of what happened, that's where I have a problem at. So I don't know if it's the same with you all and your systems, but here they saying it wasn't 30, 40 years that their parents were stolen. Well, parents, whoever was stolen.
Yeah.
And they're still dealing with things now. So I'm questioning is some of the things that they're dealing with systematically. Because you got to tear those pillars down.
You got to
create real change.
You got to. We need more people climbing mountains, man. You know what I'm saying? Show me what your heart like, and I'll show you where you stand in my life.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just for anybody. You know what I'm saying? Because you even had everybody from different walks of life trying to be in the same position as a superiority. And you just got to understand that. If you know where I'm coming from. Without even putting too much saw you down.
Yeah, you can say, I'm not a part of the generation who did something, but if you are benefiting from what they did.
Yeah. It's your character check. What's your character check?
Yeah. Character check.
I think about the education system. I think about the national curriculum creating a space for the teaching of historical incidences, which then inform why our people are the way we are today.
That's important.
But again, it has to be designed and delivered in a way that is inclusive. That's not a blame and shame game, because we know that's not worked in the past, and it's obviously not going to work in the future.
I think it's just being part of our journey, acknowledging the past. We can't change what happened. But there's a lot of people out there who try and say, oh, it's the best thing. I heard someone the other day saying it's great for people to be taken from their families. Like, if that was on their foot, would they like that? Like, being taken from your white family because you're white?
Yeah, there was a thing on Sunrise about that. What? Yeah. And the lady actually, made the suggestion to have a second stolen generation. I was like, oh, true.
Yeah, and they're not racist because they know an Aboriginal person, so they're not racist and things like that. I hear it all the time, but I'm not racist when they make these sort of comments.
We're still human.
That's it, yeah. And people that want to talk to us sometimes because we're different, but we're the same as everyone else.
Yeah, like we come from another planet or something.
Yeah, I know. Just have a yarn.
Crazy, yeah. We're not going to bite.
What obstacles stand between Indigenous kids and higher education? Well, a lot.
Getting the big questions.
Gosh, where do I start?
White privilege.
There's still a little bit of Like the students will go to school and they're not given enough information about the services that are provided within universities or even that government provide for them at school to do better.
The further out you go into the more remote places, the harder it gets. The less resources that are dedicated, the less time given, they're forgotten.
This varies for a lot of Indigenous kids, but it comes down to varying degrees of prejudice. If no one believes that you're going to be there, then you're not going to be there and you're just going to fall under what everyone expects of you.
Letting go of home to get an education and you know, like, just get out of your comfort zone and leave behind, you know, your Indigenous, your cultural world.
I think it is a confidence issue. Unlike a lot of other families, most Indigenous families don't have anyone who's got a tertiary education, and it's quite common, and it makes it difficult to break into a world that you have no idea about, and when there's no support services made available to you, it makes it 10 times harder. I was involved in the AIM program, which has high school students, Indigenous high school students, and we bring them all in and we discuss Indigenous success, and I think that's such an important aspect in supporting Indigenous kids in entering into tertiary education, because for a lot of them they just don't think about it, and they have a lot of sports role models, but I think having programs where you have...
Yeah, I'm glad she's mentioning all that because she's basically reading my thoughts. Once you know nobody that look like me, then 9 times out of 10, you know, that person that's not going to go looking for that, you know, that job in the future. Representation does matter, you know what I'm saying? Especially for children, it's all about imagery. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the love they receive. It's all about what can this position be like for me in the future if I'm in this role. But then they also got to understand what are their purpose going to look like in that future as well. And it's a building block and it's a learning step as you go as well. But I think representation is the key.
Yes, of course. Now, of course, we have students who don't need representation. Like, they don't need to see it to know that they can get there.
Yeah.
But for the average child, they need to see it to believe it.
Yeah. That's facts.
Indigenous, like, circle is very important.
Yeah. What's the best part of being Indigenous? This just reminded me of, there's nothing I would rather be than to be an Aborigine.
And watch you take my precious land away.
I've said it 1,000 times.
Say it again. Say it loud.
I think one of the main reasons is, I mean, the mob I have met, you and all my sisters and my aunties.
Yeah.
Everything's great. I guess being connected to culture and we're lucky enough to have great teachers and we're lucky enough to be in a mob that is still very strong culturally and still practices ceremony, and to be part of that it's like nothing else. That'd have to be the best part of being alive.
To hear the land talk to you, to see the ancientness, it's very, very special. It's a privilege. It's definitely the best part.
So for me, it's at that cellular level. Like, every part of me is an Aboriginal woman, and I'm proud of my heritage, and I know that the footsteps that I take have been walked by my ancestors and that they guide me.
I'm in education and we've got the textbook for our unit up there, and, you know, they're written in 2017 and they're bringing some stuff into pedagogy which we've known for 60,000 years.
Being black and deadly, yeah.
And I think we're pretty black and deadly ourselves, so that's another good part.
I think that was pretty interesting, man. This is a good listen to hear everybody's perspective of this. I think it was pretty good.
Yes, I feel like we have learned a wealth of knowledge today on their perspectives of being Aboriginal that we have not covered on this channel yet.
Nah, facts.
So that was cool to know.
Yeah.
We hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Be sure to subscribe. We'll see you soon.
Peace.